Welcome to the Queen Silvy Show. Tune in at 11, good laugh, good vibe, that's for sure. Get smooth with Tim, get smooth with Tim. They have you running like you popped the pill. Once you hear the show, you ain't gonna want it to end. Get creative with the sounds you can make with your mouth. Reaching all over the world, Queen Silvy in the house. Award-winning show with the #1 spot, look out. It's the Queen Silvy Show. 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 It's the Queen Silvy.
Hi, this is Joe Nass. You are listening to the Queen Silvy Show. You are now part of the royalty.
Good morning and welcome to the Queen Silvy Show. I'm Smooth Tim. It is now my absolute pleasure to introduce to you the world's sexiest granny, everyone's favorite comedian, Queen Silvy.
Yes, it is me, Queen Silvy. Thank you. Oh, I love when that audience is fully turned.
On point.
Right? Welcome to the Queen Silvy Show. Thank you for tuning in. Spread the word. We are worldwide, bringing the best in live entertainment, talents, and topics from around the world just for you. We are now doing our own thing independently. Smooth. It feels so good.
Doesn't it?
It really does.
An independent artist.
Yeah, you know what? I love challenges, and you may, throughout the show, experience one of those twitches. Might see a witch.
A twitch, a glitch.
Yeah, you know, it happens.
Maybe a little bit of everything.
It happens, but we're ironing it out right now because I tell you what, we are broadcasting live right now from the Cribola, baby. Oh, it feels so good because my feet are happy.
My butt's happy too. I
Right?
like these seats.
No shoes, just like Al Roker and everybody. You don't know what they have on down below, but boy, am I comfortable.
I'll quit fooling the people. You know, we're dressed appropriate. You know, come on.
All right.
I forgot to ask.
Yes.
How are you doing today, Queen?
As always, I am supercalifragilistic.
Expialidocious, I
Yes.
suppose. It's 24/7, 365.
Yes.
Queen Silvy.
Yeah.
May I say, you're simply
I'm amazing.
amazing.
I
Yes,
know,
you are.
right? I am amazing. Just keeping it real. But what else is amazing, Smooth, is the amazing lineup of guests and announcements that we have today.
Absolutely, Queen. On today's show, we have church coach, leader, and consultant, Mr. Lee Powell.
Yes.
We also have travel expert, public speaker, author, and amusement park enthusiast, Pete Trabucco.
Mhm.
He'll be calling in a little bit later.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about with Pete traveling safe
Some travel safety.
during this pandemic.
Obviously, there's not a whole lot of amusement parks open, so we'll talk travel safety, especially with the pandemic.
Right, right.
Also, hey, don't forget to join the Queen Silvy's Friends Club. You can hit that on the QueenSilvyComedy.com, the QueenSilvyShow.com. You can hit it off of Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. Make sure you join the Friends Club. Why, you ask? Gifts, free gifts.
Lots
we
of
give away
goodies.
lots of free stuff.
Yes.
So, hey, sign up, get some free stuff.
And more.
Also, don't forget to subscribe, since I mentioned that, our YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook accounts, and follow us on all those social media platforms. And if you're out there, happen to look to either sponsor or advertise on the show, again, hit us up at thequeensilvyshow.com. There's an email link in there for you.
Absolutely.
So, Queen.
Well,
what's
you
up?
know, before we get into our first guest, let me say that any comments or suggestions that you have or questions for my guest or Smooth and myself, simply comment it on any of wherever you're watching or listening to the show. Comment or send a message, QueenSilvy@comic.com or on Facebook or YouTube, and Smooth will get those questions out to you. Our lines are being tied by a couple monkeys right now, but it'll be okay. We'll be back in full bloom to talk to you live as well. But before I begin, I want to say that the Queen Silvy Show, Smooth and myself, our hearts and prayers continue to go out to those affected by the COVID-19, affected by depression, loss of job, the children with school, anything that you're challenging for. It's important to keep your faith. Our first guest, coming up. We'll be talking about that thing, keeping the faith and having fun during the pandemic. You have time to spread the word right now. Mr. Lee Powell will be back on the show, an extraordinary man. But I do have some shout outs that I must give at this moment before we begin so that I don't get caught up in my conversations and forget. I want to give a shout out to, everyone knows Venus and Serena Williams, the tennis stars, but they don't know her older half sister, who is just even more double phenomenal. That is Sabrina Williams. She has a show, Rolling with the Chaplain. Oh yeah, because she's a chaplain. She's a motivational speaker, an author. She's doing a lot of things. You will see her down the line periodically on the Queen Silvy Show, as well as tune into her. You can find her everywhere. Simply Google Sabrina. You can find her YouTube page, Sabrina Deneen Williams. More things coming up for her. So shout out to Sabrina.
I think she has a webpage now too.
Yeah.
Rolling with the Diva.
Oh, yeah. So we're going to make sure that we get those things out to you. Shout out to Matt McGiffin. I have a list, so I'm going to get it out the way right now. Shout out to Matt McGiffin, Queen Pamela Anderson, Queen Brianna, Queen Patricia, Queen Kaki, Queen Sonia, Queen Shanika, Queen Alana, Queen Precious, and happy 8th anniversary to Aisha and CJ Bates. Happy anniversary. Wishing you so much more. Spread the word. We are here live just for you. The Queen Silvy Show, Smooth Tim and myself bringing the best to you. Well, let's get things going because I am ready to learn, to get inspired by my first guest because, yes, this is going to be an in-depth conversation on keeping faith and having fun during this pandemic. With over 25 pastoral years experience, he is definitely a church leader, coach, consultant, and friend. I introduce to you Lee Powell.
Well, good morning.
How are you? Good morning. Good morning. How are you today, Lee?
I'm great. Thank you.
Good. For anyone wondering, yes, Lee is a former guest on the show. He was on the show back on February 25th, and that episode is available on any of your favorite podcasts. Simply type in the Queen Silvy Show and go down there where you can learn and get inspired by the great conversation that we had with Lee Powell before, talking about church consulting and helping churches find their kingdom impact. We also learned that Lee is such an extraordinary man who started his church from 30 members to 9,000 weekly in attendance, which says a lot about you, Lee, as a leader. And I'm glad to have you back here on the show.
Well, it's good to be here. Thank you so much, you guys.
I should be on that wall. That is a nice wall behind you. See, I like doing videos just like they do on television because you get to see their crib.
Yeah, this is a family picture mostly.
Very nice. Very nice. But now we're going to be talking about faith. And when I think about faith, I kind of says that it means complete trust or assurance, of something whole for. Everyone has their own opinion of what faith is, but what's yours? What's your definition of faith?
My definition of faith. Well, my definition of faith would be, some people say it's believing in something you can't see, but, to me, it's very personal and it's very biased. When I say biased, my faith is as described in the New Testament. My definition of faith is believing in Jesus Christ.
So is there a scripture in the Bible or some saying that defines how Jesus defines faith?
Well, believing in him. I mean, that really is how Jesus defines. That's the essence of how Jesus defines faith. I mean, there's a verse that people would say is maybe the most famous verse, most often quoted, John 3:16, for God so loved the world that he gave his one and only son, that whoever believes in him would not perish, but have everlasting life. That is faith.
See, that makes me feel good because I was going to say that, but I'm like, I'm going to test Lee. did it. That is exactly what I say too. Smooth, do you have any definition of how you uh, view faith?
It gets kind of complicated because you don't necessarily have to anything tangible to have faith. And I think that's where some people drop out, is because they don't have that tangible evidence. And so their faith is kind of 50-50. Does that make sense what I'm trying to say, Lee?
It does. I think that, we can say, I have faith in you, another person, and that's to encourage them. I believe in you, even if you don't believe in yourself. I have faith in you, or I have faith in you that you'll come alongside of me. That I have faith that I can trust you. But that's different than when I'm asked the question, what is faith? That
Is it
all.
kind of a difference,
Oh yeah, I mean, for me, what is faith?
like faith between faith and belief?
Well, they're very similar, but what I'm saying is, for me, faith is all. When I talk about faith, I'm talking about Christ, faith in Christ, faith in his promises, faith in um, faith really even in the scripture. I mean, it just goes on and on and on.
Hmm. So, because we're talking about faith and having fun during the pandemic, and some people is losing their faith. Some people is falling out of church. Because not all churches have gone to streaming. Some churches were already streaming before this.
Right.
So, go ahead.
Right. Well, okay. So you said that some people are losing their faith, and that's true. Some people lose their faith through difficult circumstances. Other people strengthen their faith through the same circumstances, and it has to do with a number of things. Some, resiliency and those kinds of things. Whether we have that or not. But there are people who really are, have sort of lost their way, their faith during this pandemic, because of loss of jobs, perhaps, loss of a loved one, um, you know. But what I would say is, so where are we going with that? I just lost my mind. I not only lost what I was talking about here.
Everyone,
Anyway, let me just leave it at
some
that.
people is struggling with their faith right now, or their belief. We all have challenges that we're going through right now. What can we do to stay spiritually uplifted?
Well, to stay spiritually uplifted, I would begin with the scripture and say that you want the discipline, the daily discipline of hearing from God, because you hear all these other voices throughout the day. You're going to hear a lot of different voices, especially today. And so to keep the rudder in place, you have to, one, hear from God. And I think the way that we do that is through prayer, but even more importantly, through reading of scripture.
Jules, you have
we do have a caller question from Joe. How can faith help me survive my daily challenges that I'm facing?
Joe, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, again, for me, it goes back to scripture and immersing yourself in scripture. It doesn't mean that you have to read the whole Bible in one day, but when I say immerse yourself in it, what I'm talking about is on a daily basis. It's like Jesus actually talks about this food for the soul. His words are literally our food for the soul. And so, to this gentleman who's, saying, how can I get through each day? I think that, one, you need to hear from God each day. And the way you do that is through the scripture and prayer.
Read, make it an effort to, you might not believe that it'll make you feel good, but the effort of just doing it, finding out that you've accomplished it and continue doing it, you will know and feel the difference, even in your attitude.
Yes.
So, and for children right now, I don't hear about Sunday school anymore. I don't know if they're doing it online, right? But with children that's never been to church and they're going through this with schooling and things, they can read the Bible too.
Yes, that's true.
They can read the Bible too.
Yeah, the Word of God, it actually, one of the scriptural authors talks about how it's alive. And it's able to penetrate our heart and our soul, but we have to avail ourselves to it.
Absolutely. We are having it.
I'm sorry. Queen put up a Very good point, Lee. And I was thinking because a lot of churches aren't having the availability to host a service, and more importantly, are the children to me.
Yeah.
And how do you educate them in these times when, yeah, they're streaming?
Sure. Well, here, my response to that might surprise you, but let me just say this: it's not the responsibility of the church to educate the kids, and that's actually something parents have advocated to the church. They should never have done that. The church really is to come alongside of families and provide community and inspiration and those kind of things. But what's I think one thing that's happened even with homeschooling, forced homeschooling, we'll call it, because of kids not being able to gather at schools. Parents have had to like dig into homework and schoolwork in a way that they haven't had to in a long time.
Yeah.
Same with the church.
Yeah.
And one of the things I was consulting with the churches with, I was saying, hey, just provide the tools for the parents to teach the kids.
Absolutely.
But what, first of all, the parents have to be taught themselves.
Right.
Keeping it 100.
That is very true. That is very true. And Lee, know that little old me is not beating up on you. I'm asking for you for all these answers, but no, when I don't have answers, you bring me inspiration and you make me think to figure out. And a lot of people have to do that. They have to think and figure out what plan works. Get a pandemic preparedness plan. We're in this all together right now. And, just like being a parent, we don't come with instructions.
Right.
Being a grandparent, we don't come with instructions.
Right.
When we go through these times of depression, you have to be the one to do it and want to get out of this. They're beating up the teachers because some parents think that teachers it's not just their job.
Right.
So we can all learn this together by parents putting in the effort, giving that little time that it is necessary, and show by example. You read the Bible, they read the Bible too. Keep it within. Build that inner strength. It's hard right now because some of the teenagers and even the college students, one of my guests, Nina Tan, was on the show when you was on the show in February. And since then she was on talking about marijuana. And there was a statistics on last year, just before this happened, how many college students are now smoking marijuana. That's not the way to deal with your depression and things that you're going through. And so, we need to set an example for everyone right now, because I'm not getting political, but even politics is in everything.
Sure.
Sesame Street.
So how do we have fun during all of this, Lee?
Well, first of all, when you say, how do you have fun during the pandemic? I'm not making light of the pandemic at all. And nor am I making light of, people who have suffered and families who have lost loved ones in any way. But laughter is good for the soul. And, God, yes, he created us to be serious beings, but he also created us to be people who can have fun. And,
yes.
And celebrate. And
what? Tim said I cut you off.
I didn't say
I'm
that.
not sure what happened there, if I was cut off or not.
No, sir.
But you're right. There is a lot of things that we can do to have fun during this pandemic. I have ideas. I'm going to let you go first and give me more.
Well, I don't have specifics per se, hey, that you should do this or do that. What I'm saying is you should think about it, think creatively about, what is it that I like to do? Oh, okay, I'm not able to do that now, but, I can do some version of it. Or, we played a few Monopoly games around the house here, when we had the grandkids, although my wife years ago took the Monopoly game away from me. Hid it because she said I was using our daughters during Monopoly. So I guess it can go overboard too with the.
That is funny.
Yeah. So I actually I was going to say
taking advantage,
game, but I went out and bought myself one. Because when you play Monopoly, you play to win.
Right.
right?
I
think that's
love
the object of the
Monopoly.
game.
So I had my children there trying to help each other out, give each other money, and I said, "You can't do that. You can't help each other out. This is Monopoly."
Loan sharks.
But
Right.
no, they were, they felt bad for each other. I said, "This is Monopoly. You're not supposed to feel bad for anybody." But
That's funny.
that is one thing. Board games, and I was talking to somebody who actually installs pools, and he was telling me that pool sales have skyrocketed this summer. And so you ask the question, well, why? And
Yeah.
they're kind of bored. They want something to do, and so people have been looking for things to do. And one of the things I would say, practically speaking, is get outside.
Yes. Yes.
And in fact, I saw a church down the street from us. They were doing their like a Wednesday night gathering, although they seem to be socially distanced. They were doing it outside.
Yes, I've seen churches do that too.
Yeah.
And that's a great thing, you know. So, you know,
I think he has a point on the competitiveness, whether rather be a board game. My son had set up a little like mini Olympic for the kids.
That's cool.
Like they would jump rope or jump or run around their house, and then they had awards.
They
I
had
like
their
that.
award show. Yeah, I like that.
I mean, you got to be creative. I mean, there's things that I've done with my children who are now grown now that you guys can do who have children. I mean, we didn't have the splish splash or nothing. We just had bowls and cups of water, and we were running around the house throwing water on each other. I mean, that was exercise and that was fun. I mean, so you have to create it. I've done with Smooth Tim putt golf in the house with cups everywhere. I mean, baskets everywhere. We play basketball, all types of weird, crazy things with whatever is in the house.
Yeah, and the other thing I would say too is, I mean, we have taken advantage of anything that's open, that we can go to, and we comply by the rules, whatever they are, social distancing, and always wearing a mask, at least inside. And so, we have just sort of been strategic about as a family, and when I say families, I'm talking about my children and their children.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. But there are still things that are open, and places aren't as crowded, so that's one of the advantages. And, it's not just you can go, as you guys said, play putt. I mean, there's
a lot of things to do, but you know what the key word is? Tell yourself this: faith over fear.
That's exactly right. That's good.
And get out and enjoy life.
Yeah.
Hey, if it's your time, it's your time. That's how I look at it, honestly. I mean, he knows, I don't know.
Right.
And as long as you're being careful and doing the right things.
Yeah, I know I don't mean this as disparaging to anybody, but we had flown somewhere and we were on the way back, and I see this person in the airport who is in almost, medical garb from their toes, their shoes were covered, everything was covered. And again, I can't really, I'm not judging it and saying I know what was going on with this person, but I thought about the paranoia of people, and I think a lot of people, while they may not be in the garb, that's how they're doing life. It's it's in this protective bubble.
Yes. Well, see, that's leading up to my guest Pete when we're done with you, who talking about this flying during. Yeah, and he used to be a pilot as well before being a child. It's going to be really interesting because I've experienced that when I've flown back home. When you watch people and see, who cares and who doesn't care.
Yeah.
Yeah. Smooth.
Yeah, I had one other call in. Well, actually, I attend Perrysburg, Ohio campus, Cedar Creek.
Yes.
We love and miss you, Lee.
Well, thank you.
Well, we miss Perrysburg campus too.
Don't we?
Yes, we do. But they're online too. Is that Cedar Creek Church TV or Cedar Creek TV?
Cedar Creek Church.tv.
Cedar Creek Church.
Cedar Creek Church.tv would be the best way to do it.
See, I gave him a plug. Shout out to Ben. Because Ben is doing a very great job. But listen, when it comes to having fun during this pandemic, one of the first things aside from faith over fear would be to take care of yourself.
Right.
Because I say this because, you know, all of our mental health is affected by this. So I think there's things that we can do to strengthen our immunity.
Mm-hmm.
Look at that as a time as something fun too, because there's some things that you can put in your body that can help strengthen you. Maybe someone never have. So take on that challenge right now to learn how to build up your strength and your immunity in your stuff. But I'm going to share because also I think acts of kindness is important right now for people to call a family member or a friend that they may not have heard and
it
talk
could
to.
be fun.
Right. I could have fun having a cup of tea. What do you drink, Lee? Tea or coffee in the morning?
Coffee.
See, we can call someone and virtual have a cup of coffee and a conversation together. Many years ago, that wasn't possible.
It's true.
So now that's something that you can take advantage of and do when it comes to act of kindness. I'm going to share 3 acts of kindness. Lee, tell me how great is this, okay?
Okay.
99-year-old, he was 99, still is. 99-year-old British veteran. His name is Tom Moore. He served as an army captain in World War II. He wanted to just raise money for Britain's National Health Service by walking laps in his garden. All he wanted to do was to raise 1,250 before his 100th birthday, which was just a couple months ago. And before his birthday, and even now, this man walked in his yard and has raised millions. Isn't that great?
Yeah, that's incredible. Great story.
So nobody can say that they can't do anything. This man is 99, bless his heart. And his passion and make a difference is there. So that's another good, fun way to do something is figure out a way that you can make a difference in this world. Figure out how you can just bring that one smile or difference to a person. And believe it or not, it's easy for some and harder for others to even do that.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys belong to any email neighborhood group, but I forget what it's called, but I get emails from people in the neighborhood, or we all, the whole neighborhood scene, and some like 4,000 houses.
That's great.
I'm amazed at the acts of kindness where somebody will post that they want to pay somebody to cut their grass, maybe a widow or something like that. And then there's 10 people that will respond, we'll come cut your grass for free. And
I love it.
Yeah, it's just been going on and on and on and on. Although I will tell you this, somebody posted something about the mask. And
Big mistake.
And then it was kind of funny, but then not. And after 350 posts about the masks, 350 posts about the mask.
Wow.
I said, hey, you guys, the UAE just signed a historic peace agreement with Israel, but there's not a single post about that. So, I mean, this pandemic, I mean, it has really gotten people sort of bunged up. And again, I'm not taking sides here, mask or no mask or anything, and I don't mean to make light of it at all. But I've been shocked at the sort of just
behaviors.
They've been somewhat hateful.
The divide, that's what bothers me the most.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean,
that's why when I say have fun, I'm saying, even in our conversations, can we lighten up a little bit? And when we're talking about masks, we don't need to be at the jugular. And again,
you be talking about masks and say something wrong, and that person just put their boxing gloves on. I'm like, man, listen, hey.
It's crazy. Yeah,
it really is. When you're going to any type of store, or you're gonna come face to face with something about the mask or no mask. It's amazing. I take my video camera because I'm coming up with a little documentary. It's funny. It's really funny. But listen, one more thing. Let me tell you about this kid. He is 6. Now, there's a lot of kids, oh, I'm bored. I love when a child tells me you're bored because, man, we got things that we can do. Bored? Come on. 6-year-old Nicholas Brubeck, his mom, he was talking about being bored. I'm bored. So mom told him, start your own business. And he did. The 6-year-old from Arizona decided to start his own company, which is called Creations by Nicholas. He's launched his online store where he sells airplanes made out of popsicle sticks and include kits for kids to make them themselves.
Wow. I wish I was that.
Tell me it's not possible.
That's genius. That's amazing.
He beat me to it.
Yeah.
Little kid beat me to it. But there is a lot of things that you can do when you're having fun during this pandemic. And I say pandemic a lot because that's what it is.
Sure.
Anything that is affecting the world worldwide, it's a pandemic.
It is indeed.
So things are good for you at home.
Things are good. It's warm in Texas. It's the weather's much better than Ohio.
Yes,
That
it
might
is.
have something to do with the increase in pool sales. We've had a record heat down here this year.
Yeah, that's been part of it. But I mean, really, it's been just because people were looking for things to do.
Absolutely.
At home, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, I got more things to give as examples of ways to have fun during this pandemic. Lee, if you want to hear it.
I'd love to hear it.
I mean, but I'm giving you the floor if there's something you wish to say.
No, I'm waiting for you to. I'll just play off of you. How's that?
I'm playing out ear too. Hello, hello, hello. Okay. Some of the other things that you can do, like Lee mentioned, was board games by all means. And like Lee mentioned, and I agree, reading in books. You can learn a skill. Like I'm learning how to play the guitar. I suck at it, but I'm learning it. That's the key. I'm going for it. You can bake. A lot of people can get in the kitchen with their children, hands-on, and bake. Do some baking, learn some things. I don't bake. That's all Smooth department. So I watch and eat. That part I do.
Yeah,
but golfing, fishing.
If I baked anything, there would be some serious sickness in the house.
That's funny. I only just cook my favorite.
Barbecue, right?
I can barbecue. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, you
see?
learn, if you can't barbecue when you get to Texas, you learn to barbecue.
That is so true. That is so true. But let's see, fishing, hunting. Have you ever been to the drive-in movie yet, Lee? They've opened the drive-in movies now.
Yes.
So you can go to the drive-in movie, and better yet, if you don't want to go to the drive-in movie, this is another thing that I used to do with my grandchildren who are now older. I'll just give you guys a math problem, figure out how old am I. But what I used to do when they would come over to visit is I would record everything that we did, and I put it together in a video. And when they left, I send them with a disc of what we did so they can make their own videos. And then you guys can sit down with popcorn and watch it as an entertainment for the evening.
I love it.
And I've done that. I have libraries of when they were little, but now they're grown.
They're funny to watch. No.
They really are fun to watch, and it's something that can still be done right now. Crafts. I like jigsaw puzzles. Someone can go and try and work a puzzle or color. Coloring for adults and for children is very educational. Believe me when I say this. I have butterflies all over my wall because I drew them and colored them personally.
Now, do you color in public?
I want to. I used to color when there was chalk. Kids can get on the sidewalk and or the parking lot with chalk, and if they don't get in trouble.
I mean, when I see adults coloring, I'm a little concerned.
But what I think it comes kind of down to is you need to be able to reboot.
Yeah.
And whether it be a hobby, a craft, an entertaining game with the family, refocus, reboot, get your mind off of all this stuff for just a moment.
Yeah. One of the things, when it comes to depression, which you touched on that earlier, and there's been really an onslaught of people with depression. Counselors, their business is really doing well.
Mm-hmm.
For two reasons. One, because they're seeing more people and they're seeing them online, which makes their expense structure a lot lower. But
right,
their business is just blown up, a lot of them, and that's that inactivity or a lack of purpose, sense of purpose. Not to take this thing into like a down moment, but in the Nazi camps, they actually sort of tested to see what people would do if they had a sense of purposelessness, and they had these people just move rocks from one side to another again and again and again, back and forth, where so you're doing this all of this work but you're not getting anything done. And what it does, it makes people go out of their mind. They get completely discouraged and depressed. And so in some ways, the pandemic has been a touch of that. And so what I say is sometimes you have to just recognize, your current reality. And that's so important in dealing with anything where you want to move forward, whether it's through an exercise program or spiritually, really relationally. You have to first be honest about the current reality. Don't exaggerate it, but be real. Okay, this is the current reality. Maybe the current reality is I don't even want to get up out of bed, because I don't have a job, and then but there's also another current reality, and that is I can get up out of bed. I can make a decision to do that, and so then you take the current reality and then you put a plan together to sort of combat that. And half of depression is in the mind. Now I'm not discounting people's depression and saying that they just snap their finger and get out of it, because I struggle with it in particular because of Parkinson's, and there's chemicals, not just people with Parkinson's, but depression involves an actual chemical reaction in the body, in the brain. But what's incredible about it is, yes, medicine helps, but physical exercise and purposefulness.
Yes, that is so important.
Oh, yeah, those things together. And so the purposefulness during the pandemic, that's where life will be made fun. If you can, find something that's somewhat significant, help people out in need, or, do something that you now have the time to do that you didn't have the time to do before.
That's what I was trying to pull out of you, Lee.
We
I was
finally-
trying
we
to pull
got
that
it.
out of it.
We got it.
I finally got it. That's what I wanted to hear. That is right. But you are so very true. But listen, have you ever wrote something on a Post-it note and posted it to remind yourself something?
Sure. Yeah.
I do too. And that's what someone can do too. Pop something somewhere where you least expected that, hey, you're terrific, or something motivational and positive for yourself. But I say for depression, give yourself a new trick. Be your own therapist. See, use what you have right now, which is pen and paper, and also your phone. Everybody has these phones with cameras. So when you're in this kinky mood or in this mood, snap a picture, go back to it and listen, look at it and learn from that. I mean, therapists is doing it too, and they take notes. So why not take your own notes? If I'm feeling a certain way, I'm going to write that way down, and perhaps leave it there or write that down. And then from there, what I can do about that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and not only that, but do it for your children. Your little children. Oh, he's so bad. No, he's trying to tell you something you're not paying attention to. So start taking notes.
Yeah. One of the things I heard a guy talking about, actually, it was a child psychiatrist, I believe, and he was very concerned about the fear-based life that children are currently living. Everything's about being safe, and you don't win at life by playing it safe. You don't, you're not going to accomplish a lot by playing it safe. And he's afraid we're creating this generation of, I hate to say it, but sort of soft kids, by creating all of the, it's amazing. My granddaughter, my daughters, is that they sent their kids back to school. They get a lot of communications from the teachers. And this is not a criticism of the teachers, but more of their communication has been about being safe regarding the pandemic than curriculum.
I've seen that in both ways, and I know exactly what you're talking about. But that's that fear and the anxieties that a lot of us are experiencing. So,
And that's why when I say have fun, what I'm saying is you have to stay engaged, keep moving forward, keep planning, keep strategizing, or you could find yourself kind of stuck mentally.
Right.
That is no fun.
Well, for me personally, and I say that because Smooth will in another room, is the television. that can be your enemy
Yeah.
at times. And the things that they're constantly pushing, there's so much that they're not saying.
What are you trying to say? They're trying to influence us with the news?
Well, it can be.
Awesome.
It can be.
Oh, you could. I mean, if you just watch the news and, watch the opening broadcast, for example, of national news, it's every day. I don't
Depressing.
I don't watch.
Right? It is.
It really is.
Television in my room don't have that on. I'm sorry.
Well, at least, I mean, I used to be kind of a news junkie. I wanted to be informed. So now we have our places that we go to, and we just reject a lot of things where, I already think I know what I'm going to hear. But what's amazing to me is the heaviness of the news. It's just, I mean, you certainly
It's changed.
Yeah, it has. Well, it used to be, that you'd get a half an hour a day on the national news. I mean, this was years and years ago, and you'd read the newspapers, and there really wasn't. Think about it. That was about it, wasn't it? Newspapers, and can you believe that? And then
right
now it's 24-hour news, and you have Twitter, and
and on.
You have an influx of all kinds of information, and then you don't know how to separate it.
Right. And I here's what I get a kick out of when people talk about, well, what do the scientists say? Well, I don't know about you guys, but I'm totally confused in regard to this. Because I hear them saying a lot of different things. And I'm like, well, if science is going to be what we bank on, and again, I'm not talking about ignoring, commonly held, beliefs about, I mean, obviously the earth is not flat, but there are a few people who think that, and I think they're nuts. But as I've listened to these, and regarding COVID, and again, I'm not arguing one side or the other. What I'm saying here is that I've heard experts contradict each other, and that's kind of frightening, isn't it? I mean,
But it's true.
It's true. It's very true.
Yeah, you have to just move on.
That's what I said. It's hard to separate fact from fiction, or what they may have elaborated on, and it's completely false.
Yeah, and that's the mask, and so you hear one expert say, well, it really, they really aren't effective at all, and then you hear others say, hey, it's going to save lives, thousands of lives. And so that's why I err on that side. I'm like, okay, I'm going to wear a mask. One, I don't want to, cause a stir, and if I can help, I'm going to help. But when I go outside, I will not wear a mask outside.
Oh, I agree with that.
It just comes to a point.
Well, you know what, I do too, but the whole mask thing, honestly, is really confusing.
Yeah,
I mean, even when you don't wear it outside, you hear them saying that it can pass in the air. That's why like when you're on the plane, it can pass in the air. That's why it's mandatory to wear it. So it is such a big controversy. Again, has people out here fighting each other over, keeping them busy about that while they do some of this or whatever.
Yeah, I was thinking about starting a business. So let me ask you guys what you think of this. So I heard that there were 4 or 5 cases of dogs having COVID.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I'm thinking about doing is making dog masks. And these dog masks, the dog wouldn't be able to get it off. It would be so, he couldn't get it off with his paws. But that way, but if and I could start a trend where all the animals started wearing masks, and then I could make masks for cats.
But I'm picturing that because don't they have like a harness type of thing when they don't want their dog to bite someone, and it's secured?
Well, that's how I'll start. Yeah, that'll be my.
I'm just saying, Einstein, Edison had nothing on you, Lee.
Hey, you might be onto something because they only splatted out a couple of times about a certain animal having it, but then they left it alone and made you focus on something else if you weren't one of the TV watchers. You know what I mean? So you could very much be onto something. There is a lot of pet owners out here in the world. Did you know that?
You know what? People would buy them.
Yes, especially those that go take their pets to the dog parks.
Obviously, I was having fun there, but
no, I'm serious though, Lee.
Yeah, people might buy them. Actually,
you would have some that would.
Yeah,
they love their pet too, that much that they would.
Yeah, just go to petmasks.com.
So, for anyone listening, hit up Lee Powell about that, because he's not giving that idea to somebody else.
We'll give his email
yeah.
or phone out at the end
Yeah.
of the show.
Yeah. That's one to try. I mean, you got to think that way in these times right now, as far as survival, and look how caring that is. You were making a joke, but that's a good example for our pets. Today is my dog's birthday, by the way.
Is it really? Well, happy
Missy.
birthday to who?
Missy Boxer.
Missy, okay.
Yeah, Missy Boxer. We'll post her later on her Facebook page. Yep, she has a Facebook page.
What kind of dog is Missy?
She's a boxer.
A boxer. Oh, you said that. Okay, so I have a Doberman.
Oh,
So
I like Dobermans.
Here's a little fun that I have. I don't really mean to do this, but it just happens. But it is kind of funny. If you see a Doberman walking down the street, when I take him for a walk, as I'm walking down the sidewalk, and there's people coming towards me on the sidewalk, what do you think they do?
Move out the way.
They go to the other side of the street because these
Yes.
dogs look so fierce. And it's not that I don't really laugh, but it does. Actually, we let our granddaughter walk the dog, by herself, because she's 13 years old. Our granddaughter lives with us, and she says, "Well, Papa, I have a Doberman with me, and when you have a Doberman, nobody messes with you."
That's right. That's right. I love it.
Doberman that wears masks.
Right. I'm
Hey,
sorry.
we're almost out of time with Lee, but one other person wrote in, "You are an inspiration and you are greatly appreciated. Thank you."
Aw,
Nice.
true. That is so
That was
true.
nice of my wife to do that.
Well, that is very true, Lee. I thank you for taking the time on the show. Is there anything that you want to add?
No, just love each other, serve each other, find a purpose, and go about doing it.
That's what I'm talking about right there. And strengthen your immunity, eat healthy, exercise, be creative. This is the key to more and more fun, because they're not like Lee or me, because I could play you, Lee, in some Monopoly, and I'm telling you, Park Place and Boardwalk. Yeah, though that's what I'm going
It's
for.
not the best Monopoly. Statistically speaking, it's not.
Okay.
It's the orange ones. If you want it, there's some little inside.
Oh, Carolina, North Carolina.
St. James and
They're green.
no, they're orange. Carolina's green.
I was just testing you out, Lee. I'm gonna bring my board, and maybe we'll go out somewhere and have a meal and sit at the table and
Let's do
play
it.
some Monopoly, because see, that's another thing that you can do to have fun.
Let's do it.
And do that. Lee, tell everyone how you can be followed on social media, because wait, before you go, are you still consulting?
I am doing some consulting, not as much as I was, but yeah, and I just have people contact me on my email. And my email is ClydeLeePowell@gmail.com. ClydeLeePowell@gmail.com.
All right. That's what's up. Well, listen, until next time,
All
I
right.
appreciate
Thanks,
you
guys.
taking the time
Thanks,
today
Hanging
on
in for
this
fun.
terrific Tuesday.
All right.
Smith?
Yes, thank you, Lee. We really appreciate you.
Thanks a lot.
All right. Have a good day.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
That was nice.
Yeah, well, you know what? There are a lot of crazy things, fun things, creative things you can do to have fun during this pandemic. But overall, have the faith and believe that we will get through this trying, challenging times.
And he was right when you was talking about having fun during the pandemic. Do some interaction with the family, with the friends. It doesn't have to be a big group. But I think you could do something or pick up a skill. Queen talked a little bit about picking up the guitar.
Right. I mean,
playing some board games.
Yeah.
And yes, we do play putt around the house with our little Dixie cups.
And I'll take an ashtray Dixie cup.
The course always changes.
It sure does. And I always win. That's right. But you know what? Thank you for tuning in to the Queen Silvy Show. Spread the word. We're just getting things going. And I'm enjoying myself on this terrific Tuesday. Spread the word. You can check us out live on your favorite social media platform. And coming up at the 12 o'clock hour in just a few minutes, actually, we have Pete Trabucco, and he is a travel expert as well as an author, motivational speaker. This man does so many things. I don't know, but I'm thankful that he had time to be on the Queen Silvy Show. He's going to enlighten you with some safety tips for flying during this pandemic. That is a very important. We all know someone, if we haven't ourselves, had to take that trip in the air and fly. And there are measures that you can take to make yourself feel great about that. Smooth. I don't believe I did motivational words.
Would you like to do some motivation?
So before we get into that, yes, actually, what I'd like to do for you is
make us happy.
Yeah.
You always do.
I know. But what I like to do is I like to share some motivational words from the Queen Silvy Show to you. After I put my glasses on, I like to talk with the music on. Stay focused on your goals, your peace, and your happiness. And please, don't waste your time on anything that doesn't contribute to your health or your growth. If you can't find your lane in life, make your own and make the right decision and go in the right direction, because that's always better than just standing still. You don't have to go fast. You just have to go, move, do something. Because behind you are the challenges that you've met, and before you lies new possibilities. And today, you chose the direction of your life. That's right. Put in the effort and join in. And those are some motivational words from the Queen Silvy Show to you. Thank you, audience. The audience makes me feel so good. So while we get ourselves connected up with Mr. Pete Trabucco, what I'd like for you to do is enjoy this great music from international award-winning gospel, R&B, and soul songstress out of Atlanta, Georgia. She's a great friend of mine, blowing up the airways again with her new song, I Try. But right now, because this song stays with me all the time, I wanted to stay with you. It's entitled No Boundaries by Miss Shanray Price, right here for you on the Queen Silvy Show.
You've been Should I stay where the signs I ignore? Can I help you not to hurt anymore? We're so brilliant when the world was asleep. There are things that we can have but can keep. If they say, who cares if one light goes out in a sky of a million stars? It flickers, flickers. Who cares when someone's time runs out? If a moment is all we are, we're quicker, quicker. Who cares if one more light goes out? What I do. The reminders pull the floor from your feet. In a kitchen, one more chair than you need. Oh, and you're angry, and you should be. It's not fair. Just 'cause you can see it doesn't mean it isn't there. If they say, who cares if one more light goes out in a sky of a million stars? It flickers, flickers. Who cares when someone's time runs out? If a moment is all we are, we're quicker, quicker. Who cares if one more light goes out? What I do. Who cares if one more light goes out in a sky of a million stars? It flickers, flickers. Who cares when someone's time runs out? If a moment is all we are, we're quicker, quicker. Who cares if one more light goes out? Well, I do. Well, I do.
Yes, that was Lorenzo Gabaniza. He's out of Spain. Great artist doing some fantastic things worldwide, and we're honored to have him on the Queen Silvy Show. You can simply follow him on Facebook and Instagram under Lorenzo Gabaniza, Gabanizza. That's right. He's a great thing. Sean Ray Price, you heard right before that.
I enjoyed that song.
I love that song. That
Good
song.
inspiration
Well,
of the
guess what?
song.
I'll be singing while dinner's being cooked. Thanks, Sean Ray. Sean Ray Price is the name. Go ahead and follow her. Her newest single is I Try, and that's a dynamic song. We'll have that shortly, as well as other musics from Sean Ray Price and other great artists that we have here. Smooth,
Yes, ma'am.
are you having a good day?
I'm having an excellent day.
Me too. Me too. And I want to say that I do thank you for tuning into the Queen Silvy Show as we do a transition to bigger and better things. I can't even tell you the fantastic guests that we have lined up for the rest of this year for you is going to blow you away. And we're going to blow them away because we're transitioning into such fantastic things for the Queen Silvy Show. I am so thankful and honored. Matter of fact, I wanted to tell you because we have gotten messages that if you'd like to donate, sponsor, become a sponsor, or have some advertising done with the Queen Silvy Show, let's collaborate and make it happen. Spread it out worldwide. Smooth. Where can they go to
Absolutely.
get more information on that?
You can get everything right off of www.thequeensilvyshow.com. And again, if you want to help us with our vision of promoting talents and topics from a global audience to a worldwide audience, we're all over the place, and it's been such a fantastic journey talking to people from all over the globe. It's been an amazing time.
Blessing.
And we're just going to take it a step up and be mobile, which is going to be interesting. So we may be coming to a town near you.
I'm excited.
Real soon.
Just like Lee said, purpose is
Can't tell
very
it all.
important.
Don't tell it all. Don't tell it all.
I'm not. I'm just saying purpose. It's important to have a purpose.
Absolutely.
And this is my purpose. We've done 6 years there, and now we're finna do it here and there and everywhere. It's so fantastic. Ooh,
And
in for a treat.
have made a multitude of friends along the way.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been an amazing journey. It really has.
Well, let me tell that other story that I didn't get to say when I had my conversation with Lee Powell while we get connected with Mr. Pete Trabucco. We're awaiting his call or his connect. When I was saying about acts of kindness, again, I was talking about the 99-year-old Tom Moore who walked in his yard and did laps walking in his yard and raised money. And then we talked about the young kid, 6-year-old Nicholas Brubeck, who, did his little online store and did his online store making popsicle sticks, airplanes out of popsicle sticks, and kits for other kids. So you can do things to make good use of your time. Honestly, you can. Let me just share real quick before I get into my first guest that Jocelyn James is her name. She's a recovered drug addict who donated one of her kidneys to save the lives of Officer Terrell Potter, who happened to be the one who arrested her 10 years earlier. But after random arrests, she changed her life around, and now she is the owner of a nonprofit called The Place of Grace, which helps women get treatment. So, there is good acts of kindness, good things that we can do on this earth while we are still here, instead of getting ourselves depressed and down and out about what's going on. There's things that you can do to make things happen. And I know that we all want to travel, and we want to know how can we travel and travel safely. And my next guest on the Queen Silvy Show is going to enlighten you. I employ your questions or comments for my next guest, and Smooth will get those questions out to you. Whichever platform you're watching the Queen Silvy Show, you're more than welcome to leave a comment there or send it to queensylvy@comic.com. So we're going to get things going with my next guest, who is here. Am I correct? All right. With important life-saving information about how to fly safely during this pandemic. He is a former aviation pilot. He is an amusement park expert, one of the world's top travel specialists. He's an actor, public speaker, best-selling author with his latest book that we will also kind of tap into, which is entitled A Personal Guide to the Best Thrill Rides and Water Parks. I'm sorry. I introduce to you Pete Trabucco. Pete!
Hello, how are you doing today?
I am fine. Can you hear and see me fine?
I am good. Just trying to just trying to get it to stop being so blurry. But I guess this will be the best we can do at this point.
Blurry, blurry, smory, blurry. You look like an actor. I'm telling you, you got a nice looking face sitting
Thank
there
you.
acting and things. And let me see. I can't even recall. Forgive me. That last play. Did you guys do that play? They happened around the COVID. Wasn't you involved in a play?
Yeah, we did Mamma Mia basically, and we had to do it outside, obviously, because you couldn't do it indoors
Oh, did you?
in a tent. Prior to that, basically, I was doing another show, which unfortunately got canceled, which was 25th Annual Putnam County Spelling Bee, which is one of my favorite shows. But hopefully, we'll be gearing up to do more in New Jersey. You're now allowed to do, I guess, inside as long as it's only 25%
Ah,
capacity. You can do that, but I think people are going to be staying away from the theater for a while. Broadway obviously is no longer
yeah.
a viable option
So
in New
much
York City
has
until
hit.
January. Yeah.
Yeah. So much is affected and hit by this here. But, Pete, I'm going to give to you one of my favorite words, honestly, and that's amazing. You are an amazing guy, Pete. I swear to you, you are. You do a lot of things as well as a former aviation pilot, and stunts. You did stunts as well, right?
Well, yeah, I interviewed astronauts. I basically was in the simulator with those guys, the full motion sim, upside down, basically strapped in, and did a whole bunch of stuff with them. And I've done aviation aerobatics, and yeah, I've done a whole bunch of things in my 61 years,
Yeah, you're
and
still
hopefully
a
I'm still going
baby.
strong.
Nah, you're still a baby. How long were you flying planes, though?
I got my license in 1992, and I've been flying ever since. So basically, it's I don't know, 92. I'm bad at math. It's probably over
Who's
30
doing the
years.
math? Who's doing the math, right? It's an accomplishment, no less. And, before we
About
talk
30 years.
about flying safely during this pandemic, I wanted, and your newest book, because I'm going to get into that too, because we will eventually give that away, right? We're going to give that away as one of our
Absolutely,
monthly
absolutely.
gifts,
It should be on its way, but with the mail system the way it is, I don't know.
right? There's so much politics even in the mail, but guess what? It's on its way. And so before we get into that though, Pete, fill me in with some of your other accomplishments, including the involvement with the American Heart Association and the automated, what is it? AED,
External
automated.
defibrillators, yes.
Yes.
Well, I've done a lot of things in my years, and I'm very proud of the fact that I became a pilot, that I've written 2 books, that I've overcome a fear of roller coasters because I had a childhood fear when I was younger. So that basically was therapy for me to get over my actual anxiety of being on a roller coaster or thrill ride. As I'm getting older, I'm realizing that it's nothing compared to what I do in an airplane. So, but there's always that childhood fear that stays with you unless you hit it head on. And that's one of the chapters in both of my books is basically how to overcome your fear, not just of roller coasters,
Yeah,
but everything in life. Any type of fear you might have, fear of flying, fear of spiders, fear of whatever. You need to be able to challenge yourself because you'll feel better about yourself. And that's one
absolutely.
of the things that I did. My claim to fame in anything I've done, whether it's the acting or the hundreds and hundreds of TV and radio and television. I think I've done 3,000 media interviews. That's great, and that's fine. But the thing that I'm real proud of is, of course, the American Heart Association, and that is getting defibrillators or automatic external defibrillators out to all the people. My job, I was hired by the American Heart Association out of their national headquarters in Dallas, Texas, to promote the bills, get them through the state houses and the assemblies, and then get them federally done and the FAA. And so a lot of the bills came through around 2000. I think President Bill Clinton at the time signed the federal bill. Whitman here in New Jersey basically signed a local bill, and then before you know it, it was 50 states. So that was one of the things was getting the bill through. And then since I have a sales background, they put it on me to get the Fortune 5s on board and the Fortune
Put it on
1000s
you.
on board. So Johnson and Johnson was my first big hit. We spent 6 months trying to get them to do a pilot program in any of their 9, I guess, companies that they had, and we were able to do that. And once we got Johnson and Johnson, then we got Pfizer and IBM, and just the list goes on and
Wow.
on and on and on, to the point where I think I had maybe 20 or 30 Fortune 5s in just New Jersey and New York City alone, or New York
Wow.
alone. And then from there, we went best practices, got the bill passed, all 50 states, and now there's about 100,000 people that survive a year just from using an automated external defibrillator. You've seen them in airports, you've seen them everywhere. And that's pretty much the thing I'm most proud of, is that we were able to get that bill through and save a lot of lives.
That is so super
You do
awesome.
see him everywhere.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah,
You
That's
do.
fantastic.
Did you have something you were going to say?
Oh, earlier he had talked about getting over fears, and I thought that was one of my biggest fears growing up. We lived about 30 minutes out of Cedar Point.
Do you know Cedar Point?
You know Cedar Point?
who does not know Cedar Point?
Well, we're from Toledo. That's our park.
Yeah, no, that is my top. In fact, in my first book, America's Top Roller Coasters and Amusement Parks, Millennium Force graces the cover of that book.
And wait, I taught Queen getting into the front seat of
Yeah, that's
Millennium
where I broke
Force.
my fear at Cedar Point.
But
at the
no,
front.
So the Blue Streak, the original wooden coaster there, when I was a little kid, it was like, there is no way I'm going to get on this. I'm scared to death. Finally, my big sister talked me into it. I got on a Blue Streak. I was hooked.
Yeah. It's
Roller
a great
coaster
ride.
freak.
It is an amazing ride. It is a little, obviously in today's standards, it really isn't, it won't hold a candle to any of the rides really that Cedar Point really has now. Of course, Top Thrill Dragster and so on. But I love Blue Streak. I think it's one of my favorite rides. It's a good family coaster.
Right.
And, it's a little rough because it's an old wood coaster, but
Yeah.
it's a great coaster.
Yeah. I'm so impressed. You really know your stuff. That was a good test. Tim was testing you out when we were throwing our Cedar Point on you. And he was naming all the rides in there. I am impressed.
Well, yeah, Top Thrill Dragster.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Millennium Force. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. See, you was grown. See, we're supposed to be talking about planes and talking about
I gotta
this.
just say one thing, and this isn't a diss. We live in Arlington now, and right next to the original Six Flags. And we look at the original Six Flags, and it's like, we got it made because they don't hold a candle to Cedar Point. I'm sorry.
No.
Well, I've been there too as well, and there's a ride there called Titan. And if you're at the top of that ride in Arlington, you can literally, when you're cresting the top of Titan, you can look over to your left and you can see the inside of the ballpark.
I didn't know they had a ride Titan there.
But you better look quick because it's only going to be a couple of seconds before you're heading down 220 feet.
You know what they're talking, the one that goes up.
Yeah.
Yep,
Yeah.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
I don't know. I'm not down in Six Flags here in Arlington, none whatsoever, but I'm from Toledo and I know Cedar Point. And I've never been to this Six Flags yet. And I've been here 6 years. I've seen other places with, great rides, but enough of that. We're going to get back with that in a minute because
travel safety. Sorry.
Yeah, we're going to go with the travel safety
the
first because me and Tim is like kids. We
apologize.
can talk about these rides like all day. And, but really, we're going to talk about that in just a moment, okay? Because I got carried away. He brought up Cedar Point, and I miss Cedar Point. But the airlines right now is going through their thing, trying to make people feel confident and to fly again and to fly with them during this pandemic. Tell me, Pete, in your opinion, what are they doing to make it safe for us?
Well, remember, everyone is still afraid of what is happening. Obviously, it's a little bit better in the New York area. We had to live through 35,000 deaths, basically, in the New York, New Jersey area, when we didn't know how to handle COVID-19. Obviously, we're better at it now. It's still a problem, and it will be until there's a vaccine. But overall, many industries, and we all know mom-pop stores and big and small business that's really suffering. Airlines are big time suffering.
Mm-hmm.
Let's face it. I travel all the time, and I've not done much travel other than car, public transportation. We don't just do that at this point, and unfortunately, the airlines have really suffered. But the thing about the airlines that's very important, or the thing that's most important, is it is safe. They have filtering systems on board these airplanes. They're first rate. 787, for example, I mean, that could even change the lighting so you don't really get jet lag. I mean, the technology on these aircraft are actually very good, and their system is good. The problem arises in that the airlines need to have at least a 6 foot space in between individual people, and unfortunately, even when you're separating the middle seat, it's only 2 to 3 feet. So that's a little bit of an issue, and an airline needs to be fully stock, if you want to call it that, or you need to have as many. If you have only a quarter or half of the amount of people on board, you're losing money on every single flight you take. That's not going to change. It's usually, let's take a 737, for example. You probably want to have at least a minimum of about 150 to 160 people on board, or you're not going to make money. And there's no way that you're going to be able to do that if you're only separating each other's chair and other seat. So that's a third.
Yeah.
I got a quick question when it comes to that kind of a thing with air travel, whether it be any of the major carriers. With the decline in air travel, do you think there's ever going to be a merger between some of these, like that you see with some of the cellular companies?
Unfortunately, that's probably what's going to happen. I mean, we all know TWA and Pan Am and all the great airlines that basically merge into other companies. And of course, Continental merged into United out of Houston, basically out of Houston, Texas. These things are going to happen. Most likely, they're going to happen again. Whenever you're losing money, hand over foot, it's really hard to keep a business going. But getting back to the safety aspect, the airplanes themselves are very, very safe. The problem is you got to get to the airport. You got to either use public transportation to get there. You got to sit on a line. You got to sit there.
Go through TSA.
And everything. And now you got close proximity to everybody because let's face it, we all want to get to that front of that line. So we're pushing people and trying to get there. Forget the 6 foot thing. That's not going to happen. You're pulling out stuff out of your bag. You're sitting there. TSA is getting real friendly with you. So there's a whole bunch of things that are going on. So that's where the issues occur. And also when you get off the airplane, again, waiting for your bags to come off the baggage rack, getting to your hotel, making sure you have the right hotel that's been dealing with this and knows how to deal with this. Obviously, the bigger hotels are going to do better than. I'm not going to mention names because I don't want to promote any hotels, but those are the things that you need to know. Now, the cool part is the TSA is allowing you to leave your cell phones and pretty much your keys and all that stuff. You put that in your bag. Leave that in your bag. Do not take it out and put it on a tray of any state because that's going to end up being there.
Spread.
You're also allowed. You're also allowed sanitizer as long as it's less than 12 ounces. You can use that. I know people that actually use the spray. They spray everything down. I mean, the airlines were pretty bad as it was. I mean, I would never touch a potato chip or a pretzel that hit the actual, in front of you, the actual food tray. You don't know who's thrown up there, who's done what there.
That's right.
And so nowadays they allow you to use that, which makes it a little bit easier on board the aircraft. I would say hold your breath for 2-3 hours, but I don't think anyone's ever accomplished that. So
let me ask you this, Pete: is the best seat on the plane the window?
Well, it really depends. When my daughter was really, really young, she'd never taken a plane flight before. We were going to San Diego. I was doing something in San Diego, and I put her at the window seat. I liked the window seat because remember, I had a fear of flying and a fear of roller coasters, and the only way I can overcome that was to literally look out the window and get scared to death and realize I'm going to be all right. Well, that was my reaction, and I got over it, became a pilot, and then later on got the book and overcame that fear as well. I still have a hard time going on the second floor of my house outside between windows. I don't have a problem with that. But my daughter was sitting there. She was about maybe 5 years old, 6 years old, looking out the window. The eyes were so big, and she says, "This is the greatest invention ever." So the window seat is probably the best seat for people that want to be able to see what's going on. If you're inside, obviously you don't get the feel, and obviously when you hit turbulence, it could get you sick, or it could get you feeling a little vertigo, kind of like being on a roller coaster, and that's not a good thing. So window seat is probably the best seat.
I like window seat.
Pete, I had heard on our local news. What am I doing listening to the news?
Yeah, right.
In any regard, that the window seat was actually the best because of the ventilation, and you're able to blow and with the with the air supply that the planes have.
Well, remember the ventilation system's on the outside of the aircraft. So, and that's another thing. If you're really hot in an airplane, the best place to sit would be the window seat because you get the airflow coming right off the sides, and you can actually cool. Now, if you're cold, that makes it worse. So, yeah, it's something else. I prefer the aisle seat for two reasons, and you guys are going to laugh at me.
Oh
But
my
But
goodness.
after 911, and I did fly before then, and I still fly after. I do not want to be caught in the window seat if something goes awry. I'm the type that will either
You're
will
gonna
either
push
fight.
everybody out the
Let
way.
me panic first.
He's like,
And-
move.
Let Pete panic first. Okay.
And no, I want to be in that aisle seat because they're going to have to really shoot me a few times to stop me at this point.
You know
I-
where you done already eyeballed that exit.
Now, one other quick question, and it was just a thought when you mentioned TSA. Do you foresee any type of COVID screening before you even go through TSA?
They are doing that at the airports right now. They are doing COVID
Are
screening. That is being done in the major airports. That is currently being done here at Newark. It's being done. It's a
Free?
process. I believe so. I
Included in
would
your
have to
ticket.
double check, but I do know that they are offering that.
Oop, he froze up on us.
Are you there, Pete?
His frame froze.
Pete's fame froze.
But I had heard that and especially you see some of that in these businesses when the employees are coming in and out, and they've got the microwave, not
Service.
microwave,
Obviously,
infrared.
are you there?
Yep, there you are. I was like,
Okay,
Pete.
I don't know what
I'm
happened,
like,
but
what did I say?
Yeah, what did we
I don't know.
say?
I guess. I
You
guess
know
I
what?
didn't like
It
talking
happens.
about having an aisle seat and running for my life. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Well, it happens. But listen, let me just quote this guy. What is his name? There's this guy. I want to quote his name.
We do have a couple of listener questions.
His name is Dr. David Powell. He is a medical advisor. Now, he says that all the data we can look at tells us that airplanes are less of a risk than any equivalent public place, such as a bus, train, restaurant, or
Absolutely.
workplace. True or false?
Absolutely. See, the thing is, when you're on an airplane, again, the air is filtered. It's got a top of the line, first rate filtering system. Obviously, it's a safe mode of transportation, and you have limited people that are on board that airplane at any given time. When you use a bus or a train, public transportation, you're literally having, in New York City, for example, thousands of people are riding the train every single day. And that means thousands of people are touching guardrails, they're touching the seats, they're doing this, that, and the other
Buzzers.
thing. So it's so hard to keep that as cleanly or clean as in every flight. Before you go on, they come on board. The staff come on board. They'll Lysol things. They'll wipe things down. You'll do it when you come on board.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, it's a lot safer and it's a lot easier, for you as opposed to being like public transportation. I'm not too happy about that at this point.
Nor am
I
I.
will do it, but it's not one of my favorite things. I mean, when I tell people, look, less than 5 hours, drive.
I was
Over
going to
5
say
hours,
that. I
take
know
care.
that you said that. I had that down. Yeah. If it's 500 or less, yeah, enjoy the scenery, right? Check out
Sure.
the earth. I agree with you totally on that. Tim?
Yes, listener question. I like this one. Is my dog at risk when I take him to the dog park?
Wow. Who said that?
Mark.
Thank you, Mark.
Well, I'm not a scientist. I mean, that's a question more for like Dr. Fauci or somebody. But there have been reports that obviously some dogs have actually acquired COVID-19. It's not often, but from what I've heard, it actually has happened once or twice or whatever. So this is a virus that acts so differently from whatever we've seen before. So who knows? I mean, some people say that you can get it again, not just once, but you can get it more than one time. So I mean, again, it's a disease that has baffled the scientists. So I'm not even going to try to answer that question.
Well, you're the
I
expert
thought that was
specialist, so
interesting.
hey, they're asking you now. But that's a question. I thank you for sending in again. We are talking to Pete Trabucco. Did I say your name right, Pete?
That is correct. But I'm a travel and vacation expert, so I'm pretty limited to when it comes to medical.
Wait, I got a very pointed question from
Sure.
from Marcia. Do you regularly wear a mask, Pete?
Absolutely. We
Hmm.
live in the New York City area. I've had friends that I've lost
You
friends.
probably wear 2 masks.
I actually, my company that I used to work for, which unfortunately due to COVID, we all got furloughed. We did disposable gloves, wipers, safety equipment. I donated a lot of those supplies to the New York and New Jersey hospital systems, EMTs, and so on down the line that I've known from the American Heart Association. And yes, where I live is more of a suburban area. So if I'm riding a bike and there's nobody around because there's hardly anyone around, I probably will not wear a mask, but I'll have one with me. But if I go into a restaurant or I go into any place where there are people, I've got a quick mask where I put it on in 2 seconds and be safe. So
Right?
around where we are, it's important. It's imperative to have one. Those that don't really are not causing problems for themselves, but they're causing problems for others.
So is that a lot going on there in New York? You know, the mask is really mandatory. Do they have like, you know, someone's want to fight someone because
Oh,
they didn't
enforcement?
have because they didn't
Yeah,
have
how
that
do they
mask
enforce
on?
that?
It's not mandatory. On an
It
airplane, it's
should be.
mandatory. On a mandatory, it is absolutely
Oh
mandatory. You will
yes.
not fly in any flight unless you have a mask, and if not, they will supply one for you. So, but the bottom line is, in New York City, we got hit the worst. So in New York City, when you go into the actual Manhattan and you're walking the streets, everyone everyone has masks, and you know we're New Yorkers. So if you don't have a mask, guess what?
Hmm.
You're going to get a little talking to from a lot of people.
Right? I bet you're right about that. But listen, let me share my experience just 2 weeks ago on the airplane because I had to fly back home. I have a little grand prince. He just melts my heart. And I had an anxiety on this plane. Honestly, it was terrible. I wore 2 masks. That's how paranoid I was. And when we got on the plane, I knew something wasn't right about the plane flying. And so the pilot didn't want to say the word fire. He used the word heat. He says, "Oh, there's after 30 minutes of flying from here in Dallas." He says, "Oh, there's something in the cockpit with dealing with heat. We're going to have to turn around and go back." So that's when the anxiety came about him turning around and going back. And I'm thinking, well, all these airlines are cutting their employees. Did somebody forget to put all the gas in? You know, I'm like, make it back. It's terrible. But what really gets me is this. They announce on the speaker when we're unloading, everyone stay sitting down and we'll go one row at a time. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
they never do.
Well, they wanted to not cause a panic. Obviously, there must have been some kind of an overheating of a system. Maybe one of the systems where it was overheating. It does happen.
Oh yeah.
Obviously, you know when you have computers and when you have systems that are pretty antiquated, and a lot of these aircraft still have antiquated equipment. They do have a tendency of running hot and burning. I mean, touch your cell phone sometimes. It is burning hot, and you're like,
Hmm.
wow, where did that come from? And you got to turn it
Better
off.
safe than sorry to go back. But I was really
Exactly.
scared during that flight going back. And as we landed, they had everyone close their windows to not look out. And there was a fire trucks waiting.
That's what happens. Basically, they wanted you to close the windows because they wanted you not. Again, fear kills more people than the actual incident themselves.
Hmm.
So the idea, and I think he handled it pretty well. He says, "Look, we got a little bit of a heat going on here. So we're just as a precaution, we're going to land
Hmm.
the plane. You're not in danger, but there are certain things that we do during those procedures. The only time that you really should be afraid, when I'm on an airplane, since I'm a pilot." I always tell people that are nervous that are sitting next to me, look at my face. If I am calm, everything is fine. If you see me getting nervous, then you know there's a problem. Okay?
I'm trying to decide, do I want to sit next to you on the plane because you're going to be ready, you're going to be on the aisle, you're going to be looking at that door to get out of there, and I'm like,
I might not
I'm
say
going to follow
anything.
Pete.
Yeah. No, well, as I said, basically, if I get nervous, then I know something is wrong.
That's funny.
That is funny.
No, honestly, I remember I told you my worst experience was we came in on a little private commuter jet and just ahead of a tornado, and it was a nerve-wracking experience, but there could never be a worse flight, so I'm calm on just about anything.
Well, you are now, but like I say, overcoming your fears is a great positive thing. It builds that inner strength and confidence in you as well. I mean, we all can overcome even this pandemic that we're going through right now. Pete has told you himself that
I am not.
Pete has told you himself.
I think we're back.
You're back.
We are back.
What's amazing is probably all the kids are online just about right now.
Right?
It is amazing what has happened to the internet with online school.
But I don't mind, when you have these glitches, because the news crews, television shows, we all have to go this route now to continue to get the word and the knowledge, inspiration available, and it happens. But we continue and go on. It's fine. My feet is comfortable, by the way. Did I tell you that? Just doing it from home is so great. I love it. But listen, Pete, what's the future? What's the future for the airlines right now? Where do you see?
Well, again, right now, there's going to be a bailout. There was a bailout before. There'll probably be a few more bailouts during this process. The economy is coming back. It's coming back slowly, but it is coming back. People, after 9/11, we all were afraid, but we all started to continue doing what we're doing. We're a very resilient species. We are, okay? Battle of Britain gets bombed every day. People still went out. They still did their thing. They didn't change their procedure. We are that type of a species. We will survive this. We did it in 1917, 18, 19 with the pandemic, with the original one that we all can now recall from all the video that we see. That the bottom line is we will be fine with it. The future is going to be better than the past. We know how to handle this disease a lot better. So they're going to be a less percentage of fatalities. And now, right now, in many states, it's usually a one-on-one, a one-to-one. When it was in New York, it was a 1-to-10. So for one person would infect 10 people and so on down the line. Now it's a one-on-one, which makes it similar to just the normal common flu, which is not bad. That means we've pretty much got a handle on it, and hopefully, we'll be able to handle it in the future. And who knows what happens? I mean, my future, I've got a radio program that we're doing in Philadelphia. It's called the Weekly Buzz, and it will be interviewing celebrities. Yeah, we have Cool in the gang. Cool's coming on with us.
Cool.
And a few other people.
Cool in the gang. I love it.
We're very good friends with their guitars, right? No.
That's Bootsy. That's Bootsy Collins.
Yeah, that's Bootsy.
Smooth thinking of another artist, but
I was thinking of Howard. But
Howard Scott is of War. Yeah,
he was with War.
Well, how cool is that? Look at you. Do you still do the Thrill? You had a television show. You hosted.
Actually, Thrill Ride Maniacs is still on the boards. You can look under www. Actually, you can look under Thrill Ride Maniacs. Just Google it. You'll find a couple things there. This was when I was a little bit younger, and I had a lot of fun with it. We did a reality series with it. Not the greatest success, but the bottom line is we did do it. It was a lot of fun to do it. I was able to.
I've seen some of it. It's really cool.
Yeah, I was able to do a lot of fun stuff for free.
Right?
Great when it's all free.
What? Better than $60 at the door.
Hey, and you didn't have to stand in line to get on that ride either, right?
No, I didn't. And
you got a fast pass.
Well, I'll tell you what. If the show goes to Travel Channel, Discovery Channel, you guys will be the first ones I call. How's that?
Please do.
We will go to Cedar Point. You're going to have to ride Millennium Force.
Oh yes,
front seat.
We enjoyed that. That was my first time. Tim broke me into getting in the front of the rides there. But I'm telling you, once you do it, I was like a maniac. I was like pushing people off the way for the next ride. Can you believe
I made her do Millennium Force as her first coaster for his front seat?
Good for you. The good thing about the front as opposed to the back, especially during COVID-19, remember, people are wearing masks, but still, everything that comes out of a person's mouth is going to go backwards.
Somebody
in the
asked that
front seat,
question.
if you're in the front seat,
Somebody actually asked that question.
That's a good
Pete,
point. I like that.
and it said, "Should I wear a mask throughout my thrill ride?"
absolutely, I would not, because let's face it, people are going to scream, people are going to yell.
Slobber spit.
Exactly. And they don't mean to do it, but it just happens. And obviously, you're going to be going on Millennium Force, for example, 90 miles an hour. That's
Mm,
coming back at you at 90 miles an hour.
you're gonna get some
The further
throw up
back
in your
you are,
face.
yeah, so the bottom line is I recommend sitting up front or forward, as forward as possible. And at the same time, always wear a mask. And if you can, always have sanitizer with you so that when you're off the ride, you can sanitize yourself and go to the next ride. Still do what you're doing, but just take a lot of precautions while you're there. Remember, parks are open. So to get the 6 foot distance, it's pretty easy because it's a big park. It's not like being in a coliseum or an indoor venue. It's outside. The only issues are going to be when you're waiting online for rides, and they've got them separated pretty far apart, and they're using the computer now and your phone to tell you when to come back. So there isn't that much
Mm.
of a problem
They
there.
kind of did what Disney did with the. I got that. That makes a lot.
So
of
what about the
sense.
water parks? Are they safe now?
Water parks are safe. Problem with water, again, it's a fluid, and again, I recommend highly wearing masks when you go there.
Even like
Obviously,
splashing water, have that mask on.
yeah, I'd have the mask on. I mean, anywhere I go where I'm in public with people, I'd have the mask on. Mask will dry, and when you're outside, it's warm. They will dry off. It's like your bathing suit and so on. But right now, I think that should be, when you're in public places, that should be. It's not mandatory, but that should be something that you constantly think about when you go out at this point, and not just for yourself.
We don't
Because
know, do
obviously,
we?
for older people, I have diabetes.
We
I
do
go
not
out
know.
and I'm at risk. So you're actually hurting other people. And God forbid you get your grandfather, your grandmother, or somebody that sick on this, and unfortunately it has a horrible outcome. You're going to live with that the rest of your life.
See, my point goes, Pete, that you don't know how it's spread. We hear conflicting stories again, even from the leading experts. So we don't know. I think safety is the best practice.
Absolutely. Well, we know it's droplets. We
Mhm.
know it actually is airborne through droplets. And that's one of the reasons for the 6 foot distance. And we know that also, if it's on your hands and your face, obviously you start breathing that in, it's going to go into your system. And unfortunately, there's no way of stopping it at that point. They've got medications now that are going to work better. And the whole process is a hell of a lot better than it was in New York City, because we were losing people right and left.
Right. Do you still have that
dedicated to
ban that if you fly somewhere from New York, you have to 2-week quarantine? Still
Yes,
do?
there are certain, not as many cities as there were. At one point, there were 27 states, almost 28 states that you could not come in. And if you did come in, you had to basically shelter yourself for 2 weeks before heading back and so on down the line. It's better now, where people are still dying, unfortunately, but it's a better situation now than it was, let's say, in March or April.
Right. It really is. Wow, you really enlightened me now. Now I'm sure they're gonna want me to fly back home again because Pete said it's safe to fly back home, and you can. I've learned something from one lady on the plane though. When she got on the plane, she had her wipes and she wiped the nozzle,
Absolutely.
the handles with your arms on. Is there any other things that you can give us as far as tips to keep us cool when we fly?
Yeah, what I would say also, if you have Lysol, spray the seat. Spray the seat.
Well,
You
okay,
know,
Lysol has to be in a certain size, or you can't
yeah,
take it on
that's
plane.
the thing. It would have to be. Remember, you're only taking a plane ride, so you're not going to use a lot.
Right.
I mean, the big Lysol will be in your overall in your actual,
But they have little travel ones.
exactly. Get the little travel ones that are just big enough that you can maybe spray your seat and do that. I also say wear gloves. Why not wear gloves?
Why not?
I mean, there's nitrile, there's vinyl, there's latex. If you're allergic to latex, go with a nitrile glove. If you have a glove on, the bottom line is you're safe there. Now, the problem with the glove is when you take it off, you need to do it like a surgeon does it, or like
Right.
somebody in a hospital system. You got to peel it off to the side, And then with the other one, use your finger, go underneath the glove and peel it up. So that way your finger never touches the outside of the glove. And that's one of the things I see people all the time. They do that and they just pull the gloves off.
I'm like, what are you
It's-
I'm
doing?
gonna tell him my silly
And take
little
multiple
thing that
pairs
I do.
of gloves,
Now,
you know,
this is the thing
Yeah.
that I do.
and extra mask.
Well, I don't agree with the extra mask, and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
it's hard enough to breathe with one mask on. Now, if you have a second mask on, now all of a sudden you've just cut in half what you can breathe or what can go through the actual mask itself. And that unfortunately can cause people to get a little lightheaded because they're now not getting enough air in their lungs from the fact that you have two masks on. Now, do they do that in the emergency rooms and in the hospitals? Absolutely. But for an everyday person, for you or for
For the plane, I don't need two masks.
I don't think so. I think it's going to be harder for you to breathe, and I really don't think you need it. Just get a decent a decent cloth. The washable ones are actually pretty good at this point,
Mm-hmm.
and that way you can breathe a little bit better. If you put the two masks on now, all of a sudden, and people who have respiratory issues, it's a problem. It
Lungs,
definitely
yeah.
is a problem.
Well, that's good and interesting. I thank you for that very much. Now,
You're
let's just talk about this book that you have. This is your second book. Was the first book therapy for you? I mean, once you had that daughter by the age of 5 or 6, I swear Superman came out of you. You start taking on all these challenges and doing some really, I mean, people haven't done what you've done. I mean, you've conquered flying the plane, let alone sitting in the passenger side of the seat. You know, you've done some really great things and overcome fear. And I'm glad that these are included in your book because a lot of people can learn from that and to this day overcome a lot of that. But where the books, the first book, tell me the title of that again.
That was America's Top Roller Coasters and Amusement Parks. It was basically what I did was, as a pilot, I learned that in order to overcome something, if you know what's coming next, you're not afraid of it. So if you look at these featured pilots, these Red Bull Air Race people, or anybody that does an air show, they know pretty much every maneuver they're going to do before they do it. It's in their head, and they actually practice it before they actually do it when they're on the ground, knowing what's coming next. Well, that's how I overcame my fear. Is basically I would look at a ride. Millennium Force would be a good example, or Top Thrill Dragster, and I would know. Maybe I'd even count how long it took to get to a certain point.
You prepared
what was
yourself.
going to be done. It was funny when I was first doing this. I'd be sitting next to people, and I'd be yelling, "Barrel roll, loop de loop, Emmelman." Zero G roll. And they'd be looking at me like, what are you doing? And I was to myself telling myself what was coming next. So I wasn't afraid of what was going to happen next. Because let's face it, the reason why people don't like roller coasters is they don't like not having control. When you're in your car, you can really speed around and you're fine. But if you're a passenger in that car, it's a whole different ballgame. And the same thing in a roller coaster. But if you know what's coming next and you know what's going to be next, now you've got some control over the situation.
Absolutely.
So that's one of the things that I think is important about overcoming any fear. But in this general, basically that was. So I did write about all these different roller coasters. And someone looked at me and says, "You have a journal on all these coasters." I said, "Yeah." They go, "Why? Put them in a book, you know?"
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we ended up doing in 2009. And then we started getting, a lot of exposure. And before you know it, in 2018, I wrote another book, which is the personal guide. And I did that because everybody kept saying, including Giada. I don't know if you know Giada. She's the Food Network gal.
Mm-hmm.
She read my book, and I was doing a green room thing with her in New York City at NBC Studios. And she looked at me and she goes, Pete, I'm really upset with you. I said, "What do you mean?" She goes, "You didn't have my roller coaster in your book." In California. I'm like, "Well, I didn't write it, so I didn't put it in there." "Well, it's one of my favorites. So in your next book, you have to put it in." So the next book I did was called A Personal Guide, which meant now it's me, it's personally. And of course, Giada's ride was put in.
That's funny.
And I did get a response saying thank you for putting that in there.
That is so funny, but that is so nice of you as well. I mean, you can come up with one if you want, even on now during the pandemic. Are you thinking about maybe doing that there? I know there's artists who are not doing their concerts, so they're making songs about the pandemic. You know heads on about the flying and the traveling. Maybe you look at me. I'm trying to give you more work to do. Maybe you have a book that's going to be about the flying and the safety. Okay. See, Pete, that was funny. That was a real good joke right there you just did. I'm looking at you, talking to you, thinking he's just being so still talking to me, and he
Freezing
froze.
up.
I am. I am. No, that's a question I've asked myself. Basically, I've written 2 books on roller coasters, and the reason why I did that was demand. I was going to do a flying book. Everybody does flying books. I won't get media coverage if I do a flying book. I was going to do something, and I still might do it. Cathedrals of Sport, which is
Mm,
a nice book on all the stadiums, the football stadiums, the baseball
mm.
stadiums. I love stuff like that. But again, you go to any bookstore and you're going to find a million books on that. Again, why would the media have me on something that's been done a million times? Now, roller coasters. I'm a pilot who's afraid of roller coasters.
That's
That's
cute.
the hook right there.
Right,
That's the reason
right.
why people would want me on. How can a pilot who does loop-the-loops and jumps out of airplanes and does all this stuff is afraid of a roller coaster? So that was one of the reasons why I did that. But I am definitely going to do my Cathedrals of Sport one of these days when we are allowed to get back into the stadiums. That is.
That's kind of funny. You mentioned because about a mile down the street from us is AT&T and the new Rangers Globe Life and Globe Life Park. We call it the $1 Million Mile.
Okay.
Yeah, got to have money. You
It's
come on
like,
that strip.
wow,
Yeah.
nothing but stadiums and all of them doing nothing.
What's the best roller coaster ride that you have experienced?
Well, I've got to go back to the roller coaster mecca. We call it the roller coaster mecca, Cedar Point. You've not ridden roller coasters until you've gone to Cedar
Where is
Point.
this ride,
Welcome
Tim?
to the
We've been
Queen
down here
Silvy
6 years. Is this a new ride?
What's that?
This ride he's saying at Cedar Point.
Well,
Millennium
it's
Force?
No.
I called it the roller coaster mecca. Mecca
Oh,
basically is like a place where you go in order to finally find inner peace and you've done it. Well, Cedar Point is the place you need to go. If you're a roller coaster person, if you are a roller coaster aficionado, you need to go to Cedar Point and
right.
ride Millennium Force.
And the corkscrew.
Top Thrill
Yeah.
Dragster.
Listen to us. Well, I'm glad
Gemini.
that you said Cedar Point has a one of the best rides that you've been on, because you've been
Iron
all
Dragon.
over the world riding roller coasters and things. Free,
It's my
mind you.
it's my favorite ride. It will always be my favorite ride. I love Cedar Point. I love the fact that you can go to the Breakers Hotel, which is right there on the
On
peninsula.
the beach.
Mm-hmm.
And you can look at the beach one side, you can look at the park the next side,
Mm-hmm.
pools, and it's just everything is right there for you, and it's just an amazing place. Not that I'm promoting the actual hotel, but it is a great location, and I just enjoyed. I had an amazing experience. I've gone back several times, and I just love it.
Can I ask you a quick side note?
Sure.
Have you made it to Put-in Bay?
No, I have not.
Oh,
Oh,
then you
Yeah.
missed out.
yeah. That's
Next time you go to Cedar Point, take a little trip across to Put-in Bay. You'll enjoy it.
No, I've not had the pleasure of doing that. I think I went to Great Bear, and there's a little airport right outside of Sandusky, Ohio, right outside. It's about 3 or 4 miles away.
Yes, sir.
And I decided to get a check ride from a pilot while I was there because I wanted to see Cedar Point from the air.
that's sweet.
In a small private aircraft. So
That's
cool.
sweet.
I did do that, but I will definitely check that out.
That's sweet. Well, tell everybody how they can get the first book, America's Top Roller Coaster and Amusement Parks, and your latest book, A Personal Guide to the Best Thrill Rides and Amusement Water Parks. Where can we go to obtain a copy?
Well, you can go to Amazon, obviously, or any online, I guess, locations that actually will have the book there. You can also go to Starry Night Publishing, which is the publisher of my book, and of course, online at www.petetrabucco.com, which is the website, which will take you directly to where you can buy either book at this point.
Well, you know what?
And one last thing,
Yes.
any money that I actually get
That's
from my
right.
publisher,
That's
Sorry?
right. I meant to mention that too. You're right.
Any money I get for the publisher, I tend to give all the money because it's a labor of love. I did it to overcome a fear. I give all that money to charity. Obviously, groups like the American Cancer Society, American Heart Association, the Lymphoma Foundation, and places along those lines. And I constantly do book signings for free, and all profits go to them because it was a labor of love to create it. I don't want to make money doing this. I'd rather just have it, uh, as they say, pass it forward or
Yes.
Good for you.
bring it forward.
Yes.
So
Blessings come in many ways. Do you know that? And what you're doing, hey, that is such a blessing and a nice gesture to do. It really is. I meant to mention that and I got carried away. Every time we talk amusement park, I forget what else I'm going to say. But listen, Pete, I thank you for taking the time today and being on the show. Is there anything that you want to add before you go?
no, just all the best. Be safe out there, and have a great. I guess I would say rest of the summer, but I guess we're in fall now, so have a great fall.
Well, it's cool right here, right now in Texas. So, yeah.
It's cool in New York City. It definitely is. Definitely not bathing suit weather anymore here.
That's all right. Well, Pete, I thank you for taking the time and being on the Queen Silvy Show. We look forward to conversating with you again. Keep me posted on anything new that you're doing, and I'd love to share it out there.
Not
You
a
can
problem.
write a book after our meetup at Cedar Point and how we just tore down all the coast.
That's right. Thanks very much, Pete. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. You have a great day.
Thank you. You have a good day too. Pete Trabucco, everybody. That was so much fun. Well, they're going to be getting me on this plane again. You know, but Pete said it was safe.
It was safe.
Safer than trains and buses and things like that. And
Planes, trains, and automobiles.
I did hear that the air filtration in planes
I've
had
heard
their
that
own
too.
system circulating, which made me feel good because homegirl be having hot flashes.
Right.
When I'm hot, I am hot. Look.
Well, they mentioned that on the news, and again, but how safe it was as compared to a lot of other avenues of training, such as public transit.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It is. And we've had great guests today, and I want to thank Lee Powell for being on the show, as well as Pete Trabucco for being on the show. Smooth, you did an awesome job as always. And I thank you for doing all that you do. I thank you for tuning in to the Queen Silvy Show. So much is in store. It gets so much better. Ride the ride with us as we continue to provide the best in live entertainment, talents, and topics from around the world just for you. Follow us now. We have a YouTube page, The Queen Silvy Show. You can go to thequeensilvyshow.com. You can find The Queen Silvy Show on Facebook, Instagram. You can find me under Queen Silvy or Silvy Starks. The webpage, www.queensilvycomedy.com. Is it also thequeensilvyshow.com?
Yes, Queen.
Oh, I love it. I love it. And that's how you can follow Queen Silvy. You can
follow me, Tim McGiffin, typically the same way. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all those other good things. And
that's right. So I want you to go out and enjoy your Tuesday. Make that Tuesday terrific. Make it Wednesday, Thursday, every day you wake up, be thankful, and make someone smile. The Queen Silvy Show is going to go out with...
about a little bit of Joe.
That's who we were speaking with, who is the guitarist
Joe
for Bootsy Collins. He's also a phenomenal independent artist doing massive things. We are honored to have him on the Queen Silvy Show and to call him our friend. His album is Soul Shred. This is the title track, Soul Shred, from Joe Mass. Enjoy and have a good day.